Hello, Dahi here from Timeslip Softworks. Welcome to Vigilantes Development Video 30. In this video I'm going to cover the changes and additions made to date in Vigilantes version 14. Now Vigilantes version 14 isn't available yet, but this update is about 50% complete, so I'd expect it to be available in roughly 2 weeks. I suppose the first thing to mention is that there are 4 new maps which have been added in this update. Now these are of a residential map type, and you're looking at one of them now. This is second of the 4, I believe. I think the feature which is going to be of most interest to most people in this update is the addition of multiple attack modes for unarmed, bladed and blunt combat, blunt weapons. So I'll just end the turn now and let some of these characters, let them do a little of the work and close in. Okay, and I'll work through some of these attacks now. I think what they basically add is they add a little extra depth to the combat system, and they also make close combat more versatile. So I'll just work through some of the attacks. I'll give myself some extra AP there just so I can cover more ground. You'll notice that in the bottom left, 3 AP for regular attack. This is an 83% chance to hit in this character, which is pretty good already. Now, I will add a button in this bar to change the attacks, hopefully in this update, but to do it currently you just need a left click when you're mousing over a character. So we've switched from attack to a haymaker, and this is sort of like a heavier unarmed attack. The specifics of the attack as they stand now are it reduces your chance to hit by 20%, but it increases the damage by 25%. So this would be useful if you outclass the character you're fighting against in terms of your close combat ability, and you have a very good chance to land the hit anyway, so it'll allow you to do a bit of extra damage. The next one's a light attack. Now this increases your chance to hit by +10, but reduces the damage by 25. And this is useful, for example, if you're fighting, say if you're a ranged character and perhaps you've no ammo, or you don't have enough ammo to reload and take a shot, but you can take a character down with a small amount of damage. So this would allow you to switch into unarmed, and then it will give you a better chance to actually land a lighter attack on the enemy. Now it does have the same AP cost, but it's basically you're trading chance to hit for damage. Moving on to the next now. This is Dim Mak. Now this was added through Kickstarter. Previously it was a passive ability. There was a small chance to activate it whenever you made an unarmed attack. Now the problem with this is I've changed it around because there's also a winded status effect, and I think having multiple status effects possibly being inflicted by a passive, especially when they're quite similar, is kind of pointless. So what I've done is the winded is going to remain a passive. Once you've basically got the perk that unlocks that ability, I think it's Solar Plexus Strike, there'll be a certain percentage chance of winding the enemy. Now you have to use Dim Mak and actually paralyze the enemy. You have to purchase the perk, and you also have to use the attack on the enemy and connect with it. But there's a 100% chance of paralyzing them if you do connect. So Dim Mak, just to run over how the attack works, it has -15% chance to hit, and it costs 1 extra AP. But this character is basically now completely vulnerable to melee attacks, and I think more vulnerable to ranged attacks. So to move on now to show how we could potentially use this to our advantage, I'm going to move to blunt weapons. Blunt weapons tend to be heavier, so even the lighter blunt weapons have a higher AP cost than their bladed or unarmed counterparts. The first attack with this is the regular attack. It says an 83% chance there, but it's actually a 100% chance to hit once you paralyze the enemy. The paralysis does only last 1 turn though. So moving on to the next attack, we've got a heavy blow now, which reduces the chance to hit by 20%, not really applicable here, and it increases the damage by 25%. Leaning with blunt weapons tending to be more heavy, it doesn't have a light attack. Instead it has a brutal blow attack. This is it has a minus 30% chance to hit, but does plus 40% damage. Now that would be a good thing to use here because this character is completely vulnerable now. So we're effectively guaranteed to land this hit, do 40% extra damage. So that's that character down. That's a pretty big hit for 4 AP. And I'll move up a little. So yeah, basically that. Then I'll just actually show you the special attack of the first of potentially more special attacks for Blunt now. I'll go down to this character, and I will click through. You'll notice that the AP cost is higher, and this one's 5 AP, concussing blow. Now, and it's similarly to the way Dim Mak and the Winded status effect work. I've kind of split these out. So there is a concuss status effect, which will reduce the enemy's chance to hit you and increase your chance to hit them, which will last. It also lasts 2 turns, so it's longer lasting than Dim Mak. Basically I've split this up. The passive, there's a passive, basically standard concussion, which is once you get the perk that unlocks that ability, every time you make an attack with a blunt weapon, you have a chance to inflict that. This is different. You need to unlock the perk for this concussing blow, and what this does is it inflicts heavy concussion, so this is a much bigger penalty to the enemy's chance to hit you and increase to your chance to hit them. So if we see now, there's a 69% chance to hit this character with concussing blow. Now it is made it of minus 15% chance to hit initially, and it has 1 extra AP cost. So let's just go and try this now. I'll give myself more AP. So that was a miss. Okay, so that's a hit. It's a pretty decent amount of damage to start off with, but this character is now heavily concussed. So rather than a 69% chance to hit, we now have an 82% chance. So feeding into this, we could move back to one of the other types of attack now, and we'd actually have a pretty good chance of landing them. I think probably the standard attack, but just for the character evaded that one. So they will remain concussed like that now for their existing turn on the next one. Okay, and moving on to the bladed. Bladed weapons, they tend to be lighter, so they have a lower AP cost, they do less damage. And working through the existing attacks on bladed now, we have, I'll just go back to the first attack, 84% chance to hit this guy, 95 to hit her, so we'll look at this. 84% chance, we move to the light strike, it boosts the chance to hit by 10, reduces the damage by 25%. Critical strike, now if you notice the light strike does 5%, there's a 5% critical chance, so the blue text below the chance to hit. Critical strike does 10% chance to land a critical with the same chance to hit, but with 1 extra AP cost. So it might be useful if you had a spare AP lying around that you wanted to take a chance with. Now that didn't actually inflict a critical there, but that is the random number god, I suppose. Moving on to the next one, this is Artery Strike. It's a pretty similar situation to the other special attacks. 1 extra AP, and this time it inflicts heavy bleeding at a minus 15% chance to hit. Now there is a bleeding effect that you can unlock through a perk, which will basically give any attack with a bladed weapon a chance to inflict. But once again, this requires its own perk to unlock, and you need to attack them with this Artery Strike to inflict the heavy bleeding status effect on them. And I'm going to give myself some more AP now, and I'll try this on. So this character now is heavy bleeding, and basically what this will do is it'll force them to lose, I think, 1/8 of their health, their maximum health as opposed to their current health. every turn. Now, this value may be too low. It possibly is. It's something I can look at. But that's a quick look at the new close combat attacks, which will be released in this version. There have also been 2 perks added, but these perks were primarily just to unlock Artery Strike and Concussing Blow. And that's pretty much it for this update. As I said, roughly 2 weeks, I would say, until version 14 is available. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.